Welcome back, my friends. As you have probably noticed, the world of social media companies is changing. Inflation is raging practically everywhere in the world. Central banks in most countries are aggressively raising interest rates to fight inflation. As a result, the macroeconomic environment is weakening. Consumers are pulling back on their discretionary spending. Corporate marketers are cutting back on advertising spending. And, if you follow this channel, or even just listen to any news, you know that usual economic narrative. Meta and Snap have been hard hit by the softening of the online advertising market. Changes to the Apple privacy policy have made it more difficult for Meta and Snap to target their ads. And, perhaps most importantly, TikTok has emerged as a strong competitor and has stolen online advertising market share. Shares in both Meta and Snap have declined sharply in the past 12 months. Big tech companies are laying off employees. This is especially true of tech companies that are supported by online advertising. But it is also true of tech unicorns that have never achieved profitability. Wall Street is basically conducting a fundamental revaluation of public companies, especially tech companies. No longer is the promise of outsized future growth highly valued. That is because it is now clearer that tech companies' growth has its limits. Many publicly listed tech companies may never become profitable. And former high flyers, like Meta and Netflix, have stopped growing, or at least stopped growing in the double digits. So, it is time for all companies to get real. And, Wall Street analysts are basically the new sheriff in town. Now, we hear word from Washington, D.C. that the U.S. government is considering banning TikTok. As you probably know, TikTok is a privately held company that is headquartered in China. And, it has become incredibly popular, basically stealing a lot of market share from Meta, Snap, and even Google. These companies would love for TikTok to be banned in the United States. So would Twitter, for that matter. The United States government could see TikTok as being geopolitically threatening. So, what would this mean for TikTok? What would it mean for Meta, Snap, and Google? What does it mean for other big tech companies? What does it mean for the economy? And, what does it mean for the future of the United States? But, before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Shares of many large U.S. social media companies spiked on this stunning news. That includes shares of Meta and Snap. The U.S. government should ban TikTok, said the U.S. Federal Communications Commissioner. I don't believe there is a path forward for anything other than a ban, said Republican Federal Communications Commissioner Brendan Carr. Wall Street celebrated the news, sending Snap shares up 3.4% and Meta shares up 2.2%. Brendan Carr is one of the 4 current Federal Communications Commissioners. Democrats have the majority of seats on the commission. But, Carr is a Republican. But, so far, this is just a comment and does not necessarily signal any pending actions against TikTok. The Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., CFI-US, is also reviewing TikTok. The CFI-US is part of the U.S. Treasury Department. The review is focusing on TikTok's potential national security implications. As you probably already know, TikTok is owned by a Chinese company named ByteDance. The United States Department of Justice is taking the lead in negotiations over a national security deal. Both Republicans and Democrats have concerns over TikTok's potential national security risks. So, the actions are generally bipartisan. In fact, both the Donald Trump and Joe Biden administrations have expressed concerns about TikTok. And both administrations have reviewed the TikTok's relationship with the Chinese government. TikTok has repeatedly maintained that it stores data from U.S. users outside of China. But that might not be strong enough to satisfy U.S. regulatory agencies. TikTok says that it would not have to turn over that information to the government. Still, U.S. regulatory officials remain skeptical. Commissioner Carr has no role in the confidential discussions with the U.S. government related to TikTok, a TikTok spokesperson said a statement. And appears to be expressing views independent of his role as an FCC commissioner, the TikTok spokesperson added. And, if you follow this channel, you probably already know that tech companies are sensing weak macroeconomic conditions. It is fair to say that Q2 earnings were weak or weakening in most companies, aside from oil companies. A lot of problems in big tech are being blamed on TikTok these days. Inflation is raging in most parts of the world. Central banks are aggressively raising interest rates in order to tame inflation. Consumers' budgets are getting tighter because of having to spend more on gas and food. So, consumer discretionary spending is weakening. Corporate marketers are cutting their ad budgets, especially online. And ad revenue is the lifeblood of many big tech companies. You probably all remember from the round of Q3 earnings announcements. Google and Meta platforms reported decidedly disappointing Q3 earnings. Not surprisingly, both companies revised or revoked forward guidance. Google was still profitable and growing. Meta has posted shrinking revenue for 2 quarters and maybe a third quarter as well. Both companies have hinted at layoffs, but not actually made detailed announcements. Meta has begun quietly pushing out a significant number of employees. The company has restructured departments and given employees 30 days to find a new job within the company. This enables the company to cut a lot of positions without having to issue pink slips en masse. Analysts expect these reductions to be a precursor to deeper cuts. Meta is trying to cut costs by at least 15% by the end of the year. These days, employees with good reputations and strong performance reviews are being routinely fired. Meta has about 83,000 employees, which is 32% higher than at this time last year. Google has 174,000 employees, which is 20% higher than this time last year. Layoffs at big tech companies are big news because the biggest tech companies went on a veritable hiring spree throughout the pandemic. Realistically, there are probably a bunch of people at the company who shouldn't be here, Mr. Zuckerberg said at a company town hall in June. Shares in Meta platforms are down by over 50% so far this year. And the market capitalization of Meta has fallen by over $685 billion since its all-time peak in September 2021. The market capitalization of Google is down 27% over the past 122 months. Speaking at the Vox Code conference, Google CEO Sundar Pichai said that Google needs to be 20% more productive. Although he did not give details on exactly how that would be done. But not all big tech companies are adopting the stealth layoff approach like Google and Meta. Snap has publicly announced layoffs of 20% of its employees. This comes after Snap grew its headcount by 65% within the past year and a half. Google, Meta, and Snap are probably the most notable of the companies reducing headcount. But there are many others. This year, it is clear that Wall Street analysts are valuing profitability over prospective growth. As a result, unprofitable tech companies' shares are getting punished. It seems that the day of reckoning for tech unicorns has arrived. And all companies are forced to either be profitable, find a merge partner, or die. The window for initial public offerings is effectively closed. That is why some Wall Street investment bankers are predicting a wave of tech mergers later this year. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.